Hi everybody, welcome again to another program of Yeshiva Classroom. What we're going to do is we're going to show you a grapefruit. And why am I showing you this? Because you know it says in the Torah that in Mishlei, the book of Mishlei, one of the 24 written books of the Bible, and it says the beginning of knowledge is the awe of Hashem, the wisdom and fear of Hashem. And look, I'm taking this grapefruit, which is grown from seed into a tree, and it produces fruit. But somehow the fruit knew that man was going to eat the fruit. And you know, it's full of juice, right? The grapefruit is full of juice, and here we are. So what do we have by the grapefruit? We have sections, because the grapefruit knew that it would exude fruit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam barei pri ha'etz. It would exude fruit. And what's that so never forget about? Therefore, it made the grapefruit into sections, so that the fruit juice would not spill all over. So the juices would not spill all over. So it made sections. Each of the sections contained the juice. And the grapefruit was so smart that it knew that there was people that are going to eat it, and if they peeled the skin off, the juice would fall all out. So the grapefruit had brains, and it made sections. Who put the brains into the grapefruit? God Almighty. He gave this world to enjoy it. For what purpose? And I'm going to go into some very important information. That He gave the entire world to mankind, but they abused it. Let me show you, let me explain how. You know, at creation, Adam was given a charge of freedom to use his free will, whatever he wants to do. But he limited that in the effect he gave him order. He gave the ability inborn to know between good and bad. But we see that the order that Adam had within him, the ability to realize, distinguish between good and bad, was not sufficient to overcome his freedom. And before you know it, on the first day, he ate from a tree that was prohibited from him. His job was to get to the next world, to the soul world, and improve it. And before you get there, the soul must endure trials and tribulations, so that when it gets to the next world and it has a passing grade, it will relive all the obstacles that were laid in its path, and the soul will be happy, so to speak. So what happened in creation? Adam, the first man, was created by God, went away crossed the boundary into the prohibited, and he went against the order, and he ate that he was not supposed to. And before you know it, his son Cain killed Abel, murder. And it went downhill from then on. There was promiscuity, there was lawlessness, there was criminality, there was, you name it, and there was no order, and there was chaos, and people were eating each other up. So it was just turned into a free-for-all without any order or restraints, except for a few people, and especially Noah. Noah was a righteous person in his generation, and God says, I'm going to start all over again, and I'm going to make a new order, and I'm going to find somebody who will understand the freedom, his free will, and the order in which he is not supposed to transgress and to stay in a straight line, so to speak. So the Torah picked Abraham, not out of the blue, but God saw that Abraham was special. And the Bible even goes in to enumerate the generations that were the progeny of Noah, the most righteous person, and his characteristics, and it lists the generations and the best people of that generation. And we started off with Noah, Aber, Arpachshad, Shelach, Peleg, Roi, Serug, Nahar, Terach, and Abraham. Nahar was a great-grandfather of Abraham, and also Nahar was named a brother of Abraham. So we see in each of those generations that I enumerated, the most intelligent, Da'at Bina V'Haskel, right? The most intelligent, and the one with the most righteous characteristic was chosen, and that was Abraham. And God made a covenant with him. That covenant between the pieces, where the animals were split asunder, and God's representative, so to speak, the fire and the burning bush, burning furnace walked between the parts, meaning the formal agreement was made, just like that burning furnace and fire was at Mount Sinai. And Abraham accepted that covenant. That was the first covenant that was made between God and man. So Abraham is enumerated in the Bible, and showing his characteristics and his righteousness, because beginning in Genesis chapter 12 verse 8, he set up an altar, and he spoke to the people about the uniqueness and the oneness of God. There was no offering, sacrifice there, but he set up altar. 12:8. Look it up in Genesis. Have a pen and write these down. Genesis 12:8. Genesis 13, chapter 13, verse 4. Chapter 21, verse 33. So, in all these places, it showed how he reached out to the people, teaching them by observation and rationalization, and he came to the conclusion that there is a one God without form. One God without form. That's what he informed the people. And to do away with their idols. And that's why the Torah spends so much time on idol worshiping. Because, you know, the Jews were in exile for thousands of years. And they came to a country or a place, for instance, the United States of America. The dominant theme is not Judaism, but a Gentile quote-unquote religion, based on the fact that their God was born by immaculate conception to a married woman. And this is what the whole basis of their belief in a man God. And they built temples and cathedrals, and they had beautiful dress and pomp and ceremony. So it was very easy for people to draw in to that type of a quote-unquote religion. But there was always a remnant of true followers of the code of Abraham. And Abraham was so intelligent, right? We listed the 10 genealogies from Noah to Abraham. And look at this, a very important sentence in the Bible, the Jewish Bible. We only have one Bible, right? And that was divinely given. And that Bible, God spoke to the principles. And there was dialogue between God and Abraham, between God and Moses, Habakkuk, Eve, Job. There was dialogue. No other quote-unquote religion has a principle speaking to God. It's only Judaism that records this dialogue. So what happened in Genesis, or Bereshit, right? In the Hebrew, it's called the first book of the Bible. In chapter 26, verse 5, very important. Through rationalization and observation, Abraham observed all the commandments and directives and ordinances that were later given by Moses from God. And so he figured it out on his own. And that's why we, the sons of Israel, the Jewish people today, are so intelligent and are the tops in every field, even though they're 0.02% of the world's population. They receive over 26% of the Nobel Prizes. Now, that is because hereditary. We received those characteristics from Abraham. Some may have a stronger feeling for an understanding like Abraham had, because after all, a soul is made up of many different parts. And we can only put so much into it. If most of the part is intelligence and characteristics on a plus side, then it's easier for that soul to gravitate to the teachings and implications of what Abraham taught his people. Now, unfortunately, we have that power and intelligence, and we, instead of using that as our main drive to reach out and educate the people in ideology, we go into the sciences, the medicine, which is all important, but many of these people never received a Jewish education, and those that received it don't have the basic ideology that I'm teaching you today that is so important. So we're very unique people, very unique. and we are the people who are to save the world and to lead it in a right path. And how so? Let's go fast forward. You know, we covered creation and Adam and how he messed up, and Noah was the only righteous person. Noah is a descendant of his progeny is Abraham. 10 generations down the road is Abraham, and Abraham put these teachings into practice, and he fulfilled the directives of the Torah before it was given. Right? There was free will and order. Order was the important thing that limited the free will from going off the road. So he knew the Torah before it was given, but the masses didn't know. The masses wanted to be made into a covenant, and after being in exile, that God predicted, because Abraham transgressed, in that he says, what will be for me, even though God promised Abraham the land of Israel, and which we have today. And even though the hungry wolves want to eat us up alive, there's still a remnant that will keep the Torah and realize that the covenant is in effect, and that God promised the land to the Jewish people. He promised the land to the Jewish people 7 times. It's written in the Bible that to the land of Israel, and its boundaries as enumerated, is given to the Jewish people, because they made a covenant with them. So here we go, fast forward. They came out of the exile, and Egypt, you know, where we have a little bit of history, when Lavan the Aramean tried to destroy my people, and the sons of Jacob went down to Egypt, and they built a mighty society over there. But as things were, they were enslaved, and when they came out in chapter 19 verse 6, God saw that they kept their covenant, and he says to the people, if you keep my covenant, what covenant are you talking about? It's before the Torah was given. It's the covenant between Abraham, which Abraham knew the laws. He figured them out. If you keep, in Exodus, write this down, 19:6, if you keep the covenant and listen to my words, what are the words? The 10 Commandments, right? The 10 Commandments and the Torah. You will be a nation of Kohanim, a nation of priests. Meaning you're going to have to know and learn in your spare time. Whenever time you have to learn Torah, because it says in the Mishnah, which is part of the Torah, it says the principle, we say it every morning, the principle, you will receive reward. The principle will given to you in the next world. Well, in this world you receive the interest, and they are honoring parents, visiting the people, the sick, accompanying the dead, making peace between fellow men, coming early to the house of study. But then it concludes, we say this every day in morning prayer, that the learning of the Torah is equal to everything, to all the above precepts. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. And say, well, why is it so important? Why is it, you know, the learning of the Torah? Because after 120 years, you're going to get a mark, and that mark determines your place in the next world, providing you pass it, providing you pass that mark. And once you get there into the next world, you will see the most righteous and the angelic entities praising God, giving Shevach, just like we're trying to do in this world, saying blessings, showing gratitude for everything in this and that we eat or that we have, showing gratitude and also trying to be holy. There are two things that we're to try to do. Try to be holy or perfect, but that's not a strong motivational a drive, but showing gratitude for all the health and welfare and goodness that God has given us. And we will go into detail as to the importance. So when we go into the next world, after 120 years, if you get a passing grade, if you don't know the language, and if you don't know the praise, you say, well, God needs praise? I mean, what is praise? I mean, just like you enjoy something physical in this world, in the soul world, praise of God is the most important element. Praise, Shevach of God, right? And also it makes us holy. Two concepts are there to reach the next world, become holy, and that's in Numbers 15:40. Observe the Torah, and you will be holy. You will be holy or perfect, and that's what we got to do. Try to get perfect. And there's another pasuk that I want you to write down. Pasuk means sentence. There's another pasuk that you should write down, and that's in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I put before you life and death. Choose life that you may live. I put before you life and death. Choose life. Use your free will to choose righteously and live by the commandments regarding work and rest and sex and marriage and all these situations that we find ourselves in. We are to choose righteously so that you may live and accrue holiness points. I put before you life and death. Choose life in this world, and others say even in the next world, so that we can get a good place. So that's one thing, is try to be holy in this world, and the other thing is to show gratitude. So we can pick up wherever it says to give a blessing, the gratitude, we get marks. So what happened right away? We spoke about idolatry and all these evils that can come upon man, and the Jews came out of exile. They were told in chapter 25:8 in Exodus to build a Mishkan, so that I may dwell amongst you. Wherever we went in the traveling areas of the 40 years, we saw the tent, the Moed. But what happened? They did all the particulars of the appurtenances and the measurements of the furniture and everything that went into the Mishkan. And before you know it, all of a sudden God said, but the observance of the Sabbath trumps everything. And that's in Exodus 31:13. Shabbos is a sign between me and the Jewish people, that on that day you become holy. We spoke about holy. Perfection, trying to be perfect. And keeping the Shabbos gets you get bonus points. And also in 31:17, it's a sign between me and the Jewish people that on 6 days you should work, and on the 7th day, Shabbos v'nofesh, that you should rest and be refreshed, right? So all these things are learning. So that's chapter 31, and then in 32 we have the incident of the golden calf. You know, the Jewish people are in the desert, no lights, nothing, darkness. They don't know east, west, south, or north. They don't know which way they're going. Moses went up to the mountain to communicate with God and get instructions, and he hadn't come back yet. And the 40 days are up. Well, why didn't they wait? He could have waited another couple hours. No, because he went up there with the shirt on his back. How's a person going to live on a mountain for 40 days without any provisions? They waited for 40 days, and that was it. So they wanted their oracle, an oracle. Oracle's like a mouthpiece that could speak to them. So they built an idol, which was wrong, and God told Moses, look what your people are doing. He was angry, and he says, I will... Well, I'm giving you a lot of information over here. And you know, this information should be given over to other people. Some people are going to go be crazy about it, and some people, you know, well, what is it? But the point is, 3 out of 4 of the graduates of day schools, these Jewish day schools, go away from the Torah because they don't give them ideology. And this is why, you know, some people are crazy about this program. I mean, I'm just, you know, whenever I go into a barbershop, usually there's people waiting there. I go to Reuven's, and, you know, people recognize me. I mean, there's a glass partition that separates the one-way mirror that separates the men's section from the women's sections in their beauty parlor area. And the woman recognized me, and she wanted me, whatever. And then there was another man, he recognized me. He said, let me take a video of you and give my wife a devout Torah. Another time a woman came over to me, insisted on helping me with my packages. Well, there's some, but not everybody likes it. That turns a lot of people on, and some people it doesn't make sense to. But when I first read these books, that's what it be. They should be, your book should be your rabbi. You don't want a rabbi to be your teacher like me, or I'm not a rabbi. But he does all the work. I do all the work here. Oh, you know, I don't want. Yeah, it's for me that I'm getting knowledge. But everyone, you know, when I'm speaking or a rabbi speaks, you can't retain it. It's like in yeshiva, you know, you try to make a laning of what it's going to be on, and then the rabbi speaks, and then you review. It's not enough you give a purple blurb out that yeah, who's going to look at that? You have to get the books. Call me up. I'll give you the name of the books to get. They're all self-taught. There's a new number, 295-4233. So what happened? They come down, God, you know, was angry. He said, the Gemara speaks about the anger of God, how long it lasted in the Gemara Bracha. So I'm just looking at that now, and it's very interesting, you know, whatever. Okay, so there's a lot of metaphysical events that happen over there. So what happened? God said, I'm going to annihilate this people, and he's telling Moses, and he says, I'll make a new people out of you. And Moses came down, and he broke the tablets, and he said, if you annihilate this people, erase me from your book. Erase me from, erase, that's the key word, 32, in Exodus chapter 32, verse 32. Erase me from your book. Here we see there's a book. Here we see there's a book. Even Moses transgressed, right? And he hoped that he would get to the next world. So he says, if you destroy this people, then erase me from your book. And Moses went up. See, when he came down, it was the 17th day of Tammuz, of the month of Tammuz. He was up there 40 days, and then he went back up in another couple days. The 17th of Tammuz to the 17th of is 30 days. Another 10 bring you to the end of the month of Av, which is 40 days. And then he went up on Elul, and he comes down on Yom Kippur, that we celebrate the 40 days, and God forgave us. And the prayer that he said, V'yinachar, was in 32, chapter Exodus 32. I'm not sure the chapter, but it says, V'yachel, Moses prayed profusely to forgive the people, of their transgression. And God said, we read this on every fast day. I think it's chapter 32 in Exodus. And what he said was, he said, Vayinachem, I will reconsider and take this transgression into account when I punish the Jewish people on a national scale. I will take this transgression into account when I make my final accounting, and when the Jews commit other transactions. They're held accountable. We say, we don't understand the ways of God, right? And you know, look, the Moses says, let me see your honor. Kavod Hashem. We give honor to Hashem. We don't know his name, so an ineffable name. It can't be spoken. So we give it to his name. We give honor. Kavod Hashem, the adornment and honor given to an entity like God, who created the world and the universe. That's honoring God. And so another proof to that is that, you know, we say in Yom Kippur, that say on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, that you should look at your kindness, and God enumerates the 30. This is in chapter 34, verse. In chapter 34, in 34 in Exodus, right? 34 in Exodus, right? 34 in Exodus. He said the 13 attributes, it's 33 hints to it, and 34 enumerates it. The 13 attributes of kindness. What are they? Ad Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Yemes, Noseh Chesed La'alofim, Noseh Ovam V'Fesha V'Chato V'Nakeh, Lo Yinakeh. That Lo Yinakeh they don't list, but in the Torah it lists it. And what did I say in English? God who is kind before the sin and after the sin, the same kindness He has. Kel, describing God as all powerful. Kel Rachum, merciful. Kel Rachum v'Chanu, and having pity. it's slow, erech apayim, slow to anger, and much kindness, Rav Chesed, and truth he gives us. No shechah said lalofim, he preserves the kindness for 1,000 generations. No say, and he forgives. No say, and he forgives the no say. Yeah, no say. No say. Avon v'ofeshe v'chatos v'nakeh. All these types of transgressions, willfully and accidentally, and he will clean us of those sins. V'lo yenakeh. You're not going to find it in the machzor, but you'll find it in the chumash, but will not clean completely. Lo yenakeh. That he describes himself as, because once this people that did this terrible transgression of idol worshiping will not be, or their punishment will be given to the future generation. That's important, that pussy, right? So here we have, right? It's a soul world that we're trying to get to, right? And Solomon, King Solomon says, the soul returns to God who gave it. In chapter 12, verse 6, the soul returns to God who gave it. And he ends that chapter with, he said that the sum of it all is the awe of God and the observance of the Torah and its commandments. That's in Jehelis that Solomon wrote. So we went over 32, 30, and soul world, how to get there, 32, erase me, 33, 34, and 35. Well, it's chapter 35. If he says 34 is the 13 attributes, right? The 13 attributes of God. And we got the Lo Yanaka, you got to check that out. And you got 26:5 in Genesis, very important. Abraham figured out the Torah by himself. 35 says, after the people were tried and convicted and 3,000 people were executed, most of them Arab people who came along with the Jewish people when they left Egypt, when they saw the 10 plagues, they said, this must be our God. But they got chicken. After a while, they didn't have the betachon, they didn't have the yichus from Abraham, and they went away. And they led the people into that oracle, that golden calf. So that's 35, and chapter Exodus 32. Chapter 32, verse 35. And then, if they were tried, he sent a plague. I mean, why destroying these people? Why a plague? You know, like the COVID-19, right? It's destroying people. So why this plague? And the answer that some people give is that this plague was for those people who sat on the fence. They didn't take action. They saw everything, and they didn't jump in and defend God. And like the Levium, the tribe of Levi, they just watched everything, watched the proceedings. No, now it pertains to us. We're not just bystanders. We have to get into the fight to bring our people closer, to bring ideology to the people, like this program that I'm giving you now. Tape it and play it. Play a few minutes of it to your family and discuss it. We have to take action. They can't be sitting on a fence in these trying times. Yeah, so that's what that's what the soul world, grace final accounting. Erase, and the final accounting, 13 attributes. You went into the 13 attributes that God, now we say, well, why do good people suffer? Why do good people suffer? and you look at in chapter 33, verse 17. God says that I will go with you. And Moses says, why don't you come with us? And you can stop us from transgression. And don't send your personal angel. Right, in chapter 33. And God said, He said, I will go with you, but I want not to be with you, being that I will be upset if I see you transgress. That's why I thought to send my personal angel, a regular angel. But now I will do this. I will go personally with you, and that's why we see such horrendous acts perpetrated against us. God let the evil people come to the fore, wherever we are. They're going to get rid of anti-Semitism. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 9. Write it down. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 9. It says over there, walk in the ways of God and do the commandments, and all the nations of the world will fear you. Walk in the ways of God. Well, how do you know how God walked? Look at Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Study their actions and how they lived. That's the way of God. Right? And you say, oh, we're going to make a law. Oh, we're going to make this law. And then you find graffiti sprawled all over the place. You see, why the Jewish people, of all people, they didn't bother anybody. Who did bother me? Just like in World War II. It's because we did not do our part. We have to go out and bang on the doors. Chabad is great. Chabad is great. It's a friendship circle. But there's got to be more. They also speak. They also speak. And the speaker does all the work. The people have got to do the work. And these are the books you have to get. All by Rabbi Miller. Rabbi Miller, Naphtali Glick. He went to the same yeshiva as Rabbi Cutler, for his undergraduate, so to speak. And they learned over there, and these are the books, write them down. Behold the people. Rejoice, O youth. All ideology, very important. And get the Talmud in linear English translation. You can do everything in English, and you'll love it. Your soul will love it. So here we are. So we spoke about the purpose of life, which was to get to the soul world, and get to the soul world prepared. You got to get to the soul world, but you got to be prepared to enjoy it. You just can't come in cold. You have to fit in with the people, and so that's the goal of a Jew. So the thing is, you don't need a rabbis. You do this stuff yourself. This is the 21st century. You can do everything yourself. The art scrolls can be your rabbi. Review it, memorize it, and what do we have over here? This says, you can, you know, what we have, we can't ask for money on this program, but we have a organization that reaches out to Gentile communities. We have enough money to buy radio time in one of the southern cities, and to talk to them. Hopefully some Jews will be there, about ideology. The best defense is an offense, right? So that's one thing. And you know, we have any correspondence. You can write this address down, or you can call, leave a message, 295-4233. So, you know, the government, the lawmakers, two-faced lawmakers, including the United States of America, United States of America. See, would you believe that Biden came to Israel? Who invited him? He invited himself, like we're one of the states, and he just insulted everybody. And he took his car when he went to Jerusalem. He took off the Israeli flag and put on a Palestinian flag, like he's entering a new country. Like he's entering a new country. And so that's what we should do. You know, there are several Indian tribes that are trying to get back their land in the United States, which the United States took from them. They just stole it from them. And the indigenous people, they put on reservations. They put on reservations. What kind of business is that? Here, there must be about 12, 13 Indian tribes that are trying to get back their land that was stolen. The state of Nebraska has over 200 million acres, and that Indian tribe over there is buying back, and they got 150. They bought back 150 acres. Well, where's justice? Why does he worry about little Israel giving up land when he should be worrying about the United States and giving back land to the rightful owners, the Indian tribes? And I advise you to put on your car the flag of the Indian nation, especially there's one large tribe. It's called One Indian Nation. One Indian Nation. They have a flag. They have parts of several states. You look it up on the internet, and such chutzpah for him to come out. He would not do it to any other country. He thinks America, it should jump, and he thinks Israel should jump when he speaks. And Israel says, well, how high? You know, Begin came years ago when Senator Biden was, before he became president, was a senator, and Begin stood right in front of him and said, "You withdraw your forces." Immediately he told Begin, and Begin says, "We're not that old Jew that towers to your demands. We're a proud people. We're a nation. You can't dictate to us." He thinks he can dictate to the God's chosen people. And you know, whenever there's an Arab injured or he's killed, when they throw rocks and Jewish try to have crowd control, if someone is injured or dies, wait away! We want a full investigation of how this person died. You know, a couple months ago, Ari Folds, a righteous individual who is an American, and he was walking down in a crowd, and an Arab came over to him with a knife and plunged it into his back, killed him instantaneously. Did the Biden administration want details of who this is and what happened? But if an Arab is injured, the United States wants full detail. What is it? Well, who are the United States? You think we're a proving ground for their weapons, and therefore we have to tower to you? Ridiculous. That was Ari Folds. What does the America say about that? What does America say when these Arabs are throwing rocks and they injure seriously people going down and about? No, they don't look at that. Oh, if someone was injured, look, the Torah says it's about time that the Torah was taught and practiced in the nation. And it says over there, if someone comes to kill you, kill them first. If someone comes to kill, that's in the Torah. If someone comes to kill you, kill them first. And they're throwing rocks at them. And what do? They arrest them, and then they let them go again. What kind of ridiculous? Somebody's got a rock and throwing it at you. Send the troops in and shoot them down. They're not going to be any rock throwers around. Okay, where'd I get my blood pressure up? I don't know. So there's a lot of things we went over, and there's no reason why you shouldn't, you know, it says over there in 12:3 in Genesis, and 24:9 in Numbers, right? Write it down, 12:3, Genesis 24:9. Whoever curses the Jewish people is cursed, and whoever blesses the Jewish people is blessed. We don't find too many people blessing us, but we find a lot of cursing, and especially from the United States of America, the biggest anti-Semitic country in the world. And we see what happened. Look, a hurricane into Florida. There are forest fires. There are drought. Who do you think that came from? America's got to stand up and right its ways. Oh, Biden recently, this is being recorded October 2nd, and a few days ago I saw on the internet where he goes to a synagogue. He spoke to Jewish leaders and says, I go to synagogue more than you do. To the Jewish leaders, probably right, but the synagogue he goes to, it bypassed the Chabad and the traditional. He went to some Mickey Mouse place called the synagogue, where I call it a synagogue restaurant, where they pick and choose. You know, she likes me not. I like this, I don't like that, I do, I don't. That's what he went to do. That's what he can appeal to. That's Delaware. Oh my Delaware, my beloved Delaware. Yeah, Biden's a neighbor. He passed the Chabad. He went right on to the synagogue restaurant, where they pick and choose what they want. Yeah, so what? Let him talk about the 85 billion that he lost in Afghanistan, or the battalions of loyalist troops that were annihilated by the Taliban. Hundreds of loyalist troops were annihilated by the Taliban because he left without giving anybody a chance to survive, those that trusted in us for all the years. What kind of a person is that? What kind of administration is that? So Talmud, so that's what we're up against. And you know, November is the elections, and there's a gentleman running here by Ari Brown, who we voted strongly for him in the remaining months of the session, but he did not allow the Pearsall project to go to die. He voted for the Pearsall project, and I'm just wondering, does he listen to the views of the people? And I'm going to reconsider my vote come November the 4th or November the 8th. We're having elections in Israel. And we hope that the country will be ruled by the Torah, and all the evil that the Emirates and the Arab parties perpetrate against us are wiped out, and we will hasten the days of the Mashiach, that they should come soon. And remember that the Talmud time, that's important to learn Talmud ideology. And here, everything's in English. Everything's in English, you know. You get 2 or 3 words, and that's what you get on a lesson. The first lesson that we taught is from. This is how you get it. I'll send me a self-addressed envelope. I'll send you a Xerox page, copy of the first page, and the first question is: from when to when do we say the evening prayer of the Shema? From when to when? What are the parameters? So the answer is, that's as far as we went in the last 3 or 4 sessions. The answer is from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. What business is that? I want to know what time, what the time parameters. And the answer is from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma, the food that was allotted them. And what does that mean? Where were they? The footnotes explain everything. And then you get soul food, and then you will be happy. You'll be happy. And that's the name of the game. The name of the game is to seek our soul. So let's all try to be strong, reach out, learn Talmud Torah, Keneged Kulam, and like it says in chapter 34, you know, we are the chosen. We are chosen, and we're distinct. We're distinct. What way? And that's in 34:9. We are distinct. In Exodus 34:9. I will, you know, the 2 things that God granted the Jewish people. I will be your personal accompaniment, 1, and 2, you will be distinct from all other nations. And you will see how I will treat the other nations if they harm you. And the first thing is, I will give you the land of Israel, the entire land of Israel. And we have seen it after the Holocaust and after all the vultures trying to get our land. God gave it to the Jewish people. And we have to make sure that the people learn and know all the Torah. With that, I'm going to close, and I wish you all a year of striving to learn and to understand and have insight in our holy Torah. Thank you.